Price Giffen was the youngest son of Russell and Ruth Giffen. Price grew up on the west side in the Mendota area and graduated from Dos Palos High School. He attended the University of California, Berkeley, but left before graduation to be married and start his farming career. He began farming in the area of Cheney Substation, southwest of Mendota in the late 1940s. After a short time of farming in Arizona, Price returned to the west side in the 60s. He farmed on Fairfax Avenue between Mendota and Firebaugh until the early 70s. Price then farmed in Five Points and Firebaugh, as well as Madera. He also briefly had an interest in citrus near Avocado Lake. Price retired from farming in the early 2000s. Price loved farming, and especially the west side. He loved to drive and see country and visit his many west side friends. He was a supporter of many charitable endeavors all his life, a true giver. Although Price was not a Boy Scout in his youth, he supported the Boy Scouts because the skills, teamwork, and integrity that the Boy Scouts teach and foster help to develop boys into fine young men.
Hello and welcome. We're going to have our Distinguished 2020 Distinguished Citizen Award today, and we're going to honor Price Giffen. We're really excited about him as our awardee, and we've had a lot of great people, but we've had a lot of fun putting something like this together for Price. Please stand now, and we're going to have the local scout troop help us with the presenting the colors.
Color guard, attention. Audience, please rise. Scout salute. Color guard, advance. Color guard, halt. Color guard, cross the colors. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Color guard, post the colors. Color guard, retreat.
Now will you join me in the Philmont Grace?
Please join me in the Philmont Grace. Please prepare yourselves in a manner you are accustomed to. For food, for raiment, for life, for opportunity, for friendship and fellowship. We thank thee, O Lord. Amen.
I'd like to take a moment to thank the Scouts and the committee for helping us honor Price Giffen today.
As the Sequoia Council of the Boy Scouts of America, our purpose is to promote positive youth development and to help every eligible youth in our council to become responsible citizens and leaders just like that of Price Giffen. Now more than ever, we are very thankful for all the Scouts and council members that put in effort day to day through these troubling times. Thank you to all the council members for making this event possible and honoring Price Giffen. Every person involved is aiding to the success of many future youths, and with that, we can't thank you enough.
I'd like to take a minute to thank all the sponsors who supported this event.
From John Harris. Price Giffen was an outstanding person, highly admired and respected by all. He was an excellent farmer and involved positively in many related aspects of agriculture. I knew him well over the years, as both our fathers were major farmers and good friends. He was also very dedicated to many charitable causes, particularly St. Agnes Hospital. I much enjoyed serving on their board of trustees with Price. He was truly a good person and had a kind and caring spirit, with a quiet manner showing inner strength and character. I was very proud to have him as a friend and mentor, and he will be missed by many. Borba Farms is proud to honor an icon of the West Side, Price Giffen. Thank you for sincere and unwavering friendship to all that you meet. lifelong leadership and dedication to West Side Valley agriculture, and for endless philanthropy in support of our community.
Hey, thank you, Bill. Great message. You know, as we begin this holiday season, we want to say thank you for your ongoing support of Scouting. Your continued support to our mission and our programs helps us develop today's youth into tomorrow's leaders. Many of you have experienced a challenging year like never before in 2020. The pandemic has forced us to look for ways to continue scouting in a safe manner. Most of our usual outdoor programs in 2020 had to be conducted virtually, much like our program here today, over a computer screen. So thank you for your support of Scouting. Thank you amidst a challenging time, and thank you for honoring Price Giffen, a true, generous, amazing human being. Thank you for your support.
Now let's see Price Giffen as the amazing man he was.
Generally speaking, this is not exact, but generally speaking, the further up the west side you go, the better and deeper the soils are. And then the new technology with sprinklers and drip irrigation have made some of the land further up the hill very productive. That wasn't before with regular irrigation because it was too steep or too rough. So I think we'll see, for a variety of reasons, the irrigated farming moving up the hill a little bit as time goes by. And land is so unusual and so productive that it will always retain good value, and over time will continue to increase in value. So I think it's a very, very good asset to own, and should be kept together if at all possible. It was very important that the cotton industry expand its usage. At that time, polyester and all those were coming into place and into the scene, and so National Cotton Council and then a arm of that became Cotton Incorporated, whose job it was to increase usage. And my father was very involved in and gathered a lot of people from the industry to support it so that it got done. And the whole industry benefited from it, but obviously my father did too. So it was a two-way street, and I think the same thing is true of the water that brought to the west side. It benefited hundreds and hundreds of people, and obviously benefited my father too.
You also, wasn't your family involved with St. Agnes?
Yes.
With Valley Children's?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Can you just comment on that?
Actually, my two sisters, Aunt Patty Giffen, and Carolyn Giffen, Carolyn Peck, kind of began to stir up the pot with Valley Children's Hospital, and got my mother and father involved in it, and then they put together a group, and it went forward and has been, as you know, very successful. very good for the community and for the Central Valley. And my father was involved with St. Agnes for years, and was very involved with them for a long time. And he had other interests also. And one of the last things he got involved with was building the new stadium at Fresno State. And he and Lou Eaton worked together on that, and were very successful in getting the new stadium built out where it is today.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Price, thank you.
Let's take a minute and see who Price has made an impact with.
So, one thing about Price, he knew so much of the history of the valley and just how things went on, but in asking him questions about the West Side, and he would tell stories on occasion that were really remarkable. Like, I remember driving around the ranch, and he was talking about when they were building Highway 5, which in my lifetime, Highway 5 was always there. So the idea that, what was it like before they had Highway 5? But evidently part of Highway 5, they poured cement so they could move military equipment up and down 5 in the state if they needed to. But they built these long stretches of 5 that just went on and on and on, and nobody was out there. It was just out in the middle of nowhere. And he told me, on occasion, Mrs. Giffen and I, when we were younger, we would go out there. We had a Jaguar, a convertible, I believe it was a XKE. And he said, it was quite a thrill to drive Highway 5 with no cars on it as fast as my Jaguar could go with the top down, and then have a cocktail. And I thought, that is awesome. He just had memories of the state that I, being younger, I could never have, but I thought that is the coolest thing, that, he was just quite a guy. Anyway, just that.
I'm Price Giffen's 6th child of 8. And Stuart Wolf called me last week and told me the Boy Scouts were doing a testimonial to my father, Price Giffen. And so I set him up with my sister May, and went to bed and got up in the morning, which was last Saturday, and wrote down this poem. It's called The Judge in the Wheelchair Poem. As the 6th of my parents' 8 children, I was in New York City during the Florida recount. Instead of returning to Yosemite, I got a Fresno room and worried about my father, because following the energy deregulation, they were opening huge utility bills at the ranch. I would stop by the house every week or so. One afternoon, muddy cars parked in the driveway, TV's on with the news, but he wasn't there. Concerned, I checked out back, wasn't there either. Rode down to Starbucks, came back later, found him watching the Celtics. When I casually mentioned stopping by, he said he'd been pushing the judge around the block. Startled, so I looked into all of this. Judge Franson lived up the street and was pretty far into his Parkinson's. Mrs. Franson was off and away with Alzheimer's. My father would make some afternoon excuse at the ranch, board meeting this or accounting review that. At the judge's, he would read John Le Carre novels or the New York Times aloud, then wheel the man around the block, load him into his car, take the judge to the Manhattan or that elbow room, where he hand-fed him with a spoon. One of the greatest things I've ever heard of. That's who Price Giffen was. Judge Franson, too. Thank you, everybody.
Memory of Price Giffen by Ross Borba, Jr. I first met Price Giffen when I began attending Westland Water District board meetings in the 80s. I wanted to understand the operations and governances of the districts and ultimately become a member of the Westland board. Price was a member of the board, and at a break in my first meeting, he came over and introduced himself to me. Price immediately put me at ease, and as we spent a little time talking, he impressed me as being truly interested in the reasons for my being there at the meeting and encouraged me to keep coming. During those years, not too many district landowners took the time to attend board meetings, and Price was sincerely interested in the reason for those who did attend being there. When the meeting resumed, Price returned to his place at the board table and almost immediately lit up a cigarette. It's interesting that while the board observed a custom of dressing in coat and tie for their meetings, those who smoked did so throughout the meeting, filling the room with thick clouds of cigarette smoke, Price making a major contribution to that. Several times I applied to fill a board vacancy and was interviewed by the nominations committee several times. However, I was never successful. That is until Price Giffen joined the nominations committee. Price felt that I had much to offer the districts, and he knew of my many unsuccessful attempts at filling vacancies that had occurred in the past. Finally, after several years attending board meetings, another vacancy occurred. At that point, Price came to me and said, "I know you've been coming to board meetings and usually participate in discussions of matters that come before the board, and I believe that many district matters could use your fresh thinking and discussion skills. So I think you should be appointed to fill the vacancy, and I'm going to support your being nominated and appointed to fill this vacancy on the board." Well, as was usually the case, when Price spoke, folks listened, and that was the way it went in the nominations committee meeting as well as the board meeting when I was voted to become a board member. Without the serious recommendation and support of Price Giffen, I would likely never have been able to serve the districts as a board member, which I did from August 1990 through April 2002. Memory of Price Giffen by Chuck Hoyt. I worked for Price back in the 1980s as an employee and then again as an outside advisor in the late 1990s until his death. Price was one of the most principled people I have had the privilege to know. He demonstrated the importance of being straightforward and transparent in every facet of life, and his integrity was a model that he shared with all of us every day of his life. Price was famous for his routine of being at Pardini's for breakfast and the Three Rocks Cafe, the Vineyard Restaurant in Madera, or Jack's Restaurant in Fireball for lunch, where he would insist on paying for your meal. Price was a great listener and practiced more listening than talking, so he was able to learn what was going on from all of us and loved a good story. I miss visiting with Price. He was a great individual, a good friend, fun to be around, and I know that his legacy will live on for a very long time to come. May God bless his family as well as the memory of Price Giffen.
I met him through my father, and my dad knew Russell real well. In fact, Wiley Giffen, Russell's father, they all were Fowler. And then Russell was there for a little bit, and then he went to the west side, and then he was in Kern County. So Dad and he kind of kept in touch, and they were obviously different sized farmers and attitudes about whether you want to take a chance and stuff like that. So, but I got to know Price through Russell and Dad.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's how I got to know Price, through
your father.
Through my dad, yeah. My earliest memories of Price was him playing tennis. He was the only tennis player wearing long white pants. Oh. And occasionally he'd be wearing a long sleeve shirt, as I recall.
Really? Okay.
And then in between sets, he might sit down and have a cigarette.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why I just remember that so distinctly. Some of the things I think I remember most about Price was, it's hard for me to recall a time where Price, wherever you were, he would pick up the tab. Like you couldn't buy his breakfast or lunch,
right? Yeah.
or you couldn't buy his drink. In fact, if you tried to beat the system and go around and go directly to the manager or the waitress, they would say, Mr. Giffen would not like that.
Oh,
You just couldn't do it. He came from a different era because I would be at Berkeley in a t-shirt with all the other students and running around, and you could see Price, and he may be wearing a suit. He was very well dressed, always dapper. I mean, he looked like a movie star from another era.
Maybe a professor or two.
Or a professor, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But the minute that he would see you, he made you feel like you were the only person in the crowd. Really great.
Yeah, that was really a unique characteristic, and his father did that too. If you'd see a shoeshine guy on the street, he'd walk across the street and say hello to him.
Yeah. I think he treated everybody he came in contact with, regardless of like position in life or whatever, as the most important person that he was talking to. And I think it's a trait that it's kind of been lost, but really first class.
We all respected him. We all really respected him.
I was struck by when we were thinking about candidates and Price's name came out.
Yeah.
How quickly everybody said, "Oh, that's the perfect person."
Yeah.
Everybody loved this
That's
guy.
right.
Price Giffen lived his life in accordance with the Scout Oath and the Scout Law. We are thrilled to honor and recognize the life of Price Giffen with the Distinguished Citizen Award presented by the Sequoia Council, Boy Scouts of America, on this 7th day of December, 2020.
We would also like to congratulate all the past recipients of the Distinguished Citizen Award. Thank you for contributing to our society in such an amazing way. Price has done many years of outstanding service for our community, farming, and Scouts. Please join me in a round of applause.
Good morning, Paul Giffen here. Just wanted to say thank you to the Boy Scouts of America for honoring the memory of our father, Price Giffen, in the fashion that they're doing. This coming Monday, I believe it is, and we just want to say thank you. I was a Cub Scout years ago, and my son Earl was an Eagle Scout, and being in the Scouts was such a wonderful thing for us, and we learned so much, and it carried it with us into our lives, and all the foundations from the Boy Scouts meant so much to us, and still do to this day. So again, we thank you for the tribute. Thank you for honoring the memory of our father, Price Giffen, today. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today for honoring Price Giffen. We really appreciate all your support and contributions.
Well, I made a costume change, and I just want to say thanks everybody for joining the 31st annual West Side Luncheon as we honor the life and times of Price Giffen with his family. We're excited for Scouting in the future. We're excited for what it's done in the past, and it's just an honor to be with all of you and recognize Price and his amazing contribution and impact, his generosity, and his great spirit, which will live on forever. Thanks again for supporting Sequoia Council, Boy Scouts of America. These truly are timeless programs and values that will endure forever. God bless you. Make it a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Goodbye.
If you would like to be a part of this tribute of Price Giffen, please contact Mary Ann at the Scout office at 559-320-2100.